So, Greg, if you want to give us a brief intro of who you are, what you stand for, how you plan to represent the disability community, and then we'll have time for questions.
Right. Well, good morning. Thank you, Helen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Greg Idella. I'm the independent candidate for Mayor City of Albany. I'm sitting at my office and I'm wearing a blue shirt. I have brown eyes, brown hair, and it's speckled with multiple gray. But I'm very pleased to be here. Just a brief intro about who I am and why I am here today. My family owns and operates Quail Auto Sales, which my grandfather, who came from Sicily, Italy, and started the business in 1943. We're located on Quail Street, and a point of pride is the block between First and Second, where we're located, was renamed for my family, Idella Way, in 2019. I have a 20-year entertainment career that I've put on pause for this campaign. But what led me here today is this. 3 years ago, the first murder of 2018 occurred in front of our business. I reached out to City Hall to see if we could have a sit down and discuss the violence and how we could, further relations by extending the olive branch. 3 months went by. I didn't hear anything from City Hall, so I got film crews together, and we started documenting what was happening with the murders and the drug activity by the gangs in this area of the West Hill. Since then, I've recorded and filmed over the past 3.5 years, leading to regional coverage, and then it did break in other parts of the country out to the West Coast. What led me here into getting to this position was last summer, when violence was on the rise throughout the country. The mayor in Albany had said, in quote, in the Times-Union last August, that if you're hit by a stray bullet and it's not intended for you, and you're with whomever for whatever reason, and it's not intended for you, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. I took that very seriously, and a shot against everybody, every resident within the city of Albany. So at that point, I approached my family and asked if it was okay to do this. They gave me their blessing. Just so you know, the reason I stayed independent, I'm 47 years old. I've been independent since I was 18. The Democrats suggested that I do become a Democrat to win this. I respectfully declined. And the Republicans and conservatives wanted to endorse me, and I respectfully declined that as well. I didn't want to be beholden to a party. I wanted to be beholden to the people of Albany, just as we've been doing so as a family for 78 years. To me, it's all about community and communication. And I am thrilled to be here today to not only just answer any questions you have, but to really, really learn about the great community that you have here in Albany.
Thank you so much for sharing, Greg. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can type it in the chat box. If you're calling over the phone and you're muted, you can unmute yourself by clicking *6. Okay, I don't see any.
This is Mary Beth.
Oh, there you
go. Hello. I'm sorry, I couldn't catch that name. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. This is Mary Beth, and I think anybody who's lived in Albany a long time has had that, and ever tried to contact the city, has had that same experience of the sound of one hand clapping. I was wondering what types of steps you thought you might, if you're elected, what you would do to expedite the process of being able to contact people in Albany and have something done. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, so thanks for that question. It's a really great question. That's, what's frustrated me most over the past 3.5 years. There is absolutely no clear communication out of City Hall. I find that over the past 3 years, and also especially over the past year, with talking with residents and business owners that are just as flustered. I have an idea to bring in a concierge service. I'm not going to give too much away because I know there's other people on and it's recorded anyway, but I have this great program that will alleviate the anxiety of residents and businesses from calling the city and not getting a response back. My idea will get a response back once you phone a department within 48 hours. And I know how important that is. It's very important to my line of work, which was basically communications within entertainment and also being a certified life and business coach. So I do have this great concierge service idea that we want to implement to have clear communication. When I was growing up in Albany, running the streets and playing around, and with the last administration was very accountable, with his radio program, and always showed up when there was good times and bad times. I can assure you I will do the same. That's how I was raised, and that's what I saw in this city when it had better days. So absolutely, communication is paramount, and it will be a different way of positive communication when I'm elected, 100%. Thank you for that question, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Greg. Are there any other questions out there? Feel free to unmute yourself or put your question in the chat.
Hi, this is Katie. May I ask a question?
Hi, Katie. Feel free to ask your question.
Thank you so much. My name is Katie Carroll. I live in the Pine Hills neighborhood, and I've been here for about 4 years. I enjoy living in Albany, and my question continues along the theme of getting in touch with the city. So currently, residents can use the C-Click-Fix program to enter in information about things that we see in the community that we would like the city to respond to. Some benefits of the program are that you do not have to try and call the city, figure out which department is the most appropriate to address your problem. You can do it when you think of it on your electronic device. The downside is for people that don't have access to a device where they can access the C-Click-Fix program. I'm wondering, so I've used the program to mainly point out issues that I see with accessibility in the community. One example would be, I live on Washington Avenue and I'm a short walk from Central Avenue. And there's construction being done that actually prevented folks from using the sidewalk. I happen to be someone who walks. I happen to be slender, and so I was able to fit on the sidewalk between the construction and utility poles, but people who use wheelchairs were completely unable to access the sidewalk on this particular block. The entry that I made on C-Click-Fix was closed about 2 years after I entered it when the construction was finished. So basically, in all that time, no one responded. And frankly, I didn't have the time to follow up on it. And I was wondering, Greg, what would be your plan to improve that system, change that system, replace that system, and respond more quickly to people like me who just want to get the city to respond to these barriers that we see in the community?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Katie, for the question. And just bear with me with this because it was a little bit faded with your call, so it like muffled a little bit. So I want to make sure I'm getting everything correctly. You're asking, if I'm hearing you correctly, about the better communication, like Mary Beth asked, within the city, and how I would possibly, when you have situations as construction and people can get through, but it wasn't really wheelchair accessible. Is that correct, Katie?
Yes, she put
okay.
yes in the chat, and also she specifically mentioned the C-Click-Fix program that the city runs, and that she didn't receive a response until 2 years after she submitted the complaint, and
Oh.
the issue was already resolved. And also just a quick note, Greg, if you're having issues with hearing, a good little trick is if you turn on the closed captioning, then
I
that
just
may
turned
be
it on. I
helpful.
see that now. Thank you. And Catherine, thank you for doing, I appreciate that. Sorry about that. All
No
right.
worries.
Yes. So again, so let's start right at point A again. Communication is paramount. It vexes me that this administration doesn't get back to anybody. Anybody who's running against the incumbent will surely agree with that. I've had my bouts with it. So what I would say with See Click Fix, you're the first person in all of my talks to have this much concern and problems with the app. Okay. And usually it's, in my experience, it's been quick to respond. Now, that said, we will definitely look into that. Make sure that is rectified and fair for each person. In regards to construction, okay, and on sidewalks. Now, I've seen this in other cities in my travels, and I know it's happened in the Capital District before. I will make certain that it happens in the city of Albany, especially because we only get so many nice days up here in the Northeast. There should be accessibility on that sidewalk in the way of this, which I've seen. There should be a makeshift platform, which is made either, I've seen it used with rubber or wood so in other words, you've got the sidewalk and people can circumvent that and walk to the other side. It's very important to have safety be paramount for all residents, and no one should have to struggle to get to where they need to be, either work, family, or to dinner. We need to be a more friendly city to every walk of life here. And I will do everything I can to fight for that and to make sure it's done correctly. I hope that answers your question fully. I'm going to go to the chat in case something else was brought up, so forgive me on that.
You're fine. I don't see anything in the chat. Thank you for your answer to that question, Greg. Paul, I see that you've unmuted yourself if you want to ask your question.
About sidewalks, the city of Albany has had a continuing issue about snow removal during the wintertime on sidewalks. And I think sometimes it has to do with not knowing who is technically responsible for the removal of the snow. I understand it's the property owner, but then when there's a bus stop on the corner in front of a building, and then there doesn't seem to be any punishment for the responsible individual that's not clearing the snow. So do you have any plans to address that issue? Because it with the amount of snow that we get sometimes, it can be exceedingly difficult. Many of my consumers, they shut down for the winter. They don't come into the center once it starts to snow because they just can't get to the bus stop and then back off the bus.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that question, Paul. It's a good one. And I feel bad that consumers won't come out because of, there's got to be some sort of laziness on somebody's part here.
Yeah.
So, right. So, and I want to empower those people. And here's how I can answer that. We've been here for 78 years. We have a good amount of property. We have to get it plowed, and we have a removal service that comes in within 12 to 24 hours, depending on the snow, because there's some leniency with the city because, as you would get dumped on with snow. We are responsible for our property. And not only do we take care of the property in front of our business, we take care of our entire block. Okay. So that in front of city buses, which is city street, that is 100, that is the responsibility of the city.
It is. Okay.
It is. Yeah.
We have seen that sometimes the city is actually the one that's making the infraction because when they're plowing the street, they're now pushing the snow back up onto the sidewalk and into the curb cut.
Yeah. It happens. You know what, Paul? It's great. Unfortunately, it happens, especially when there's a lot of snow because they're under time. It's pressure, it's trying to get it done as fast as possible and then have another crew come in and finally, clean that up in a fine manner. So Absolutely. Everything that's on the street is absolutely the responsibility of the city. When it hits sidewalks, depending on where it's displaced,
Mhm.
if it's in front of a resident, that homeowner or business is absolutely responsible for that. And also on top of that, they should be salting. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how much
Oh,
salt
yeah.
we go through, salt and sand.
Oh, you have to.
every
You have to in Albany.
you
If-
do, you really do.
Yeah.
And I know, I've lived in, in Manhattan, and it's a different type of a vibe and how things get taken care of quickly, but it's the same thing with snow. It gets piled up. And I think I would ask when it happens, I would be that mayor to, because I'd be in constant communication with everybody. See, can we just have when those big snowstorms do
Mhm.
come in, can we just have a little bit of patience amongst the community, know that we're on it, and we will make the wrongs right by everybody
Mhm.
for everyone's safety too, because that's a huge, that's really the issue here.
Yeah.
It freezes, as we know, it becomes an iceberg, very slippery. It's so yes, it's a very great question. I appreciate that, and I'll do everything in my power to keep those departments motivated to make sure that our walkways and streets
A-
are clean.
And as you said, I think communication is very important. If you get even communication between the people doing the plowing and the clearing,
Mhm.
and maybe try to implement some kind of protocol where they're just not, when it comes to the bus stops, they're pulling the snow away from the bus stops and not putting any of it onto the sidewalk, because that really becomes the issue.
It-
When you have the property owner, the homeowner, shoveling and many times making a small snowbank on the landscape strip.
Mhm.
And then when you get more snow piled up on that, there have been times when I've had to roll over the snowbank to get
Oh.
to cross the street, because it was almost too high to climb up over.
Oh, Lord. Well, let's not have that happen again.
No, but that's Albany, like you say, we get those storms where we just get dumped on.
Yeah.
So I think maybe to try and push for some sort of consolidated plan about how the snow is getting removed. I was in Montreal once during a snowstorm
Yeah.
and was amazed at how everybody worked together.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
The property owners, the business owners, and the snow removal people. They were clearing the building from the foundation right to the curb.
Yeah.
Um,
It's great. And that's a great example too. It's one of my favorite cities, actually. And that's what we try to do here and show by example with that. And I think in other cities that I've seen that, and I don't know this for sure. I'd have to look into this more with the cities and the equipment. I'm not sure if they have. Did you ever see those little traction sort of clean, and they spout like a giant snowblower?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Possibly go into the yard, or possibly consolidate certain areas around bus stops, especially
Yeah.
where they can be put into a pile. And then, there's a map for the workers to go around and
Yeah.
get those piles of snow.
In, in Montreal, they dump it into the St. Lawrence Seaway. And
Mhm.
why can't we dump it into the Hudson River?
Well, there's a couple things with that.
I mean, is there a rule or regulation against doing
Well,
that? Because
there's
of,
always rules and regulations,
Yeah.
especially with waterways. And the
Yeah.
poor Hudson is polluted enough of what we put in
Yeah.
as a county. And you got to watch, salt and anything that gets scooped up and put in.
but it's all going to end up there anyway. through the
Well, I
storm
know.
sewer system. So,
Well,
yeah.
it could, but I can
Yeah.
tell you this, that, for example,
Oh, we have a new water treatment system being put in.
that's going in
Yeah.
Lincoln Park. That's
Yeah.
correct. That's, 2-year project. But I can tell you that when our snow banks and piles, and believe me, you could sleigh ride down them. When we remove them, they are removed to private land that's owned by the removal company, and then they just sit in a mountain, a mountain of snow. So great question. And I will, again, communication is paramount to me in my business and personal life. So I will do anything I can to make sure that these little concerns, they're not little concerns, I should
Yeah.
say all these concerns are taken care of and at the forefront of conversation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. I'm going to ask a question that was in the chat. It says,
Sorry.
as a follow, no, it came in when you were answering Paul's question. It says, it's Katie Carroll. As a follow-up to my question is, what are your plans and thoughts about the city hall staff? Will you hire more people? Do you think we have adequate staff, but they're not doing the correct work? Staffing at City Hall.
Oh, Katie, thank you so much for that call, that question rather. That's a great question. Here's how I can answer that. About the City Hall staff. I haven't had really good luck with some of the staff at City Hall, especially when you start to get involved, like I have the past 3 years. I've extended the olive branch. I've never slung mud. I've never called anyone a name. It's not the way I raised, nor would I. But they take you as an enemy. It's very junior varsity approach, and it's unfair to the community of Albany and the capital region at large. So City Hall has enough staff right now. And probably we have to look at this more, okay, to see how we possibly could consolidate jobs in the way of, there's a lot of staff that make a lot of money, 6 figures. And some of these 6-figure people at City Hall are not doing exactly what you folks are asking today, which is their job. And it starts with communication. So what I would do, oops, I'm sorry, there's another question that popped up. So I just wanted to see the second part of Katie's. Oh, darn it. Oh, there it is. Do we have enough adequate staff, but not doing the right work? Now, we might have those, Katie, this is too, we might still, have those positions filled as of right now. Are they doing the right work? To me, it doesn't seem that they are. Now, I can't say everybody because that's unfair, because I know there are hardworking men and women that work for the city that their voice is unheard. And I know that they're doing good work. So I think that we would have, I know that the staff that I want to bring in would bolster it. And what is great about my staff to bring in is their background is communications. So I think that we would have to go in clean house for certain with some positions and bring in a whole new group and really work together as a giant team to get this city back on the right track 100%. I hope that answers your question, because I know you have another speaker and I don't want to take up everybody's time. So Katie, by all means, you can follow that up again if you'd like. That's what I'm here for.
You're so fine. We've got time for we've got time blocked off for an hour and a half. So I think we'll end with two more questions and then we'll pass it off to our next speaker.
Yes.
The next question says, since you are a business owner, I would like to know if your business is accessible to people with disabilities and what you will do to encourage business owners to make their businesses accessible to everyone. I would like to go out shopping and be a foodie like everyone else with my wheelchair using partner.
Great question. Yeah, so we are, make sure I got this. Sorry, here we go. Okay. Our building is accessible. Now, keep in mind, it was built in 1963. It's all brick. And I invite anyone down, you want a field trip and take a field trip into history of Albany, come on down. And you will see there's a little step up and then it's the main office. The rest of our business is, there's a ramp to get into the back. It's a slight bump. And with the garages, you can actually, some are flat, and then we have a little ramp that you can go up to. The rest of it is not accessible, handicap accessible. Well, the restrooms you can get in, but the rest of our business is not, because of insurance. We have machines and tools and the workers. So actually no one is allowed in there unless it's a customer picking up a car and is given a final approval. And we've had, our friends and customers that are in wheelchairs or in need of some type of, mechanism or crutch or something to get through and to come in, which you can definitely do at our place 100%. And you'd like to go out shopping with foodies like everyone else in my wheelchair. It's a great question. And I hope that, more and more with this awareness and what you kind people do to teach us to promote and be an advocate for what you folks need, I would be happy to sit down with any of you all-stars and get on the right page to make this city the safest we can and the most accessible for every resident that live here and that want to visit the city as well.
Great, thank you so much. And then the question that we'll close with before moving on to our next speaker is regarding emergency preparedness in view of recent flood disasters. Are first responders prepared? And I'm going to take that as maybe a disability focused spin. Are first responders prepared to help evacuate people with disabilities? I heard Kaya, I know she put the question in, say yes, so.
Hi, Kaya. Thank you.
Hi, yeah, I mean, there's obviously this applies to all citizens, but there are issues that come up, especially I'm thinking of communication issues, but also special needs with persons with disabilities, you know, for instance, the deaf community. And, you know, I know, you know, you probably can't give a comprehensive answer, but I think that I'm not really sure about, as far as the city goes, how much, you know, first responders, police, fire, you know, paramedics, ambulance drivers, you know, et cetera, are, you know, actually educated or aware that, you know, not everybody, you know, is going to be able to, you know, walk or communicate, or maybe they're reacting to, you know, like the stress, you know, of like flash flooding or storm outages, you know, that especially the ones that are prolonged. I live in southern Albany County, by the way, where I think we lose power like every other week. So
No.
I don't, you know, again, I think it's a matter of training and awareness. And, you know, I wondered if this issue had come up to you, you know, when you were thinking of this running.
Great question. Yes. And thank you for that question. And what I've learned with my friends that are policemen and firemen is they're prepared the best that they know to be trained for each situation, knowing that each situation is different and they're never quite sure of what they're going to encounter behind a closed door. I can say that the first responders that I've met and that I've seen over the years, and this is growing up here when there was an emergency, you know, you see people collapse. I've seen so many things that we all have seen, and in different ways. And the first responders that have always come have always been kind, prepared to the best of their ability. Now, and they meet and they're good people with good hearts, and they want to do the right thing even under all that stress, right? So, yeah. Right, and it's a stressful job. It's a stress to be alive and a human, and then under these types of circumstances when there's an emergency. Now, what I can say is learning more from you folks today has, you know, prompted me to take notes when I'm further talks with first responders, is to ask them, how well are you prepared and trained? Is there certain programs that you have now? Do you recommend anything? Is there anything that I can help you out with? Because this is what, you know, the community is asking for, and we owe it to them as residents and friends to be prepared for each and every situation to the best of our ability. I hope that helps, because, you know, I can't speak for them on everything, but I would gladly research that and be a proponent to make sure that everyone is prepared for anything that might happen with you know, a natural disaster.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Greg. And I'll close that out with a comment that's in the chat before we go on to our next speaker, that basically just says, emergency preparedness plans are a big issue in most places, and the plan is for people with disabilities to go into a room and wait for someone to come and get them, and this is not a plan. So yeah, thank you for that comment. And Greg, if you have any final closing words, thank you for being here today, and yeah, feel free to comment on that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Shamika, thank you for that comment. I was not aware of anything of that nature at all, and that doesn't even seem part of a plan for humanity. So I you know that, you know, being in charge, I would not let anyone do that to another human being. Everyone matters, and everyone's safety should be paramount as well. So thank you for that. I'm accessible. People, you folks can reach out to me at any time throughout the remainder of the campaign if you'd like to ask further questions. And I want to thank you all very much. You know, I've spoken with Helen a few times over the few months. That young lady works really hard. So thank you very much for inviting me in and teaching me what I need to learn and study. And I'm excited about what I learned here today. So thank you all very much. And I hope that you have a great day and continue to enjoy this late summer weather here in Albany in the Capital District.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Greg. And now we are going to move on to Alicia Purdy. Bear with me while I get her pinned. Awesome. And Alicia, whenever you are ready, feel free to unmute and turn your camera on and give us a brief intro before we jump into questions. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Helen. Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia Purdy. I am running for mayor against Kathy Sheehan. So I'm running for mayor in Albany. And let me describe myself. I'm in my mid-40s. I'm a white-skinned woman. I've got short auburn hair. I'm wearing right now a hoodie sweatshirt and a badge that says Alicia Purdy for mayor. And I'm sitting on my front porch because it's a beautiful day outside and I love to enjoy the beautiful air. And I am wearing, let's see, I'll tell you my jewelry I'm wearing. I'm wearing a necklace that has my name on it. And I am sitting here surrounded by a pile of books because I love to read. So I want to start by saying my plan for the city of Albany is called Operation Transform. And the last time we spoke, I was still putting that together. So today I'm really excited to talk to you about how Operation Transform addresses not only the needs of the city of Albany with a clear set of deliverables and expectations, but it's very comprehensive in who it reaches. So I'm going to give you the word transform, which is an acronym, and it is transform is taxes, revenue, accessibility, which is going to be a big one for us today, neighborhoods, safety and policing, TRANS, facility, opportunities, resources, and management. So that is the plan for Albany under my administration, Operation Transform. And I'm looking forward to answering your questions today. So let's dream together.
Awesome. Thank you, Alicia. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or put any questions you may have in the chat.
I also wrote down all the questions that you asked previously. So if you have some of the same questions, that's fine as well.
All right. I'm looking through and don't see anyone.
This is Mary Beth.
Awesome, Mary Beth. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Actually, this time I have a question about accessible pedestrian signals. We talked a little bit about walking in the previous thing. I'm blind and I travel with a guide dog, so of necessity, if I want to go somewhere, if it's close at hand, I walk. And there are many places now where the primary way of crossing a street is if the hand is up. That doesn't really work for me. In some places, accessible pedestrian signals have been put in, but sometimes the the poles will be, say, 10 or 15 feet away from the curb. So particularly in the winter, when, as Paul was mentioning, there's snow around, it's like one of those Saturday Night Live things. You run over, push the button, get back to the curb, the light's already changed, run back. It's like being on a little wheel. I was wondering if you had any plans as far as keeping construction sites and accessible, and also making certain that accessible pedestrian signals, which are expensive, are placed so that people can actually use them. Thank you.
Yes, so in the last time that we spoke at the last forum, this came up as well, the beg buttons across the street that nobody can get to easily, especially if you're blind, like you said, and you have to figure out a way to get out of traffic so that you can cross the street safely. One of the things that the city of Albany has really failed to do is stay on top of little livability issues. So whether it's the audio boxes, for example, that allow you to cross the street safely, or a light bulb in a darkened area, it has been very ignored in the city of Albany. And speaking of being blind, I have to tell you, I take pictures around the city all the time of cones in the middle of a sidewalk where a pole once was, and there's a remnant of a pole you could very easily trip over. There are wires that are scattered all over the ground that you could very easily trip over. And what a shame that is. It not only does it add to the blighted appearance of the city of Albany, but it's incredibly unsafe, especially if you cannot see when you are walking. So let's talk about the audio boxes. If the audio boxes are something that present a danger in the city of Albany and they're affecting your livability, then yes, let's move them. And one of the things that I think residents are told, and maybe you've heard this, is that it can't be done, or maybe it's lower level on the priority list for the city of Albany, but livability is, everything's gonna funnel underneath there for me. What am I gonna do about it? I'll just rip them down and put up new ones. And that sounds impossible because you've been told it's impossible, but it is not. And I have blind friends, close friends, that are bringing up these same issues to me in the city of Albany. So I'm already aware of it. And I did do some digging. And I'm going to tell you right now, if a mayor wants it done, it will get done. So we're going to focus on the livability in the city of Albany. And I firmly believe that universal modifications in a city for the disability community affect everybody positively.
Thanks so much, Alicia. We've got 3 questions lined up in the chat.
Okay.
So we'll start with the first one that says, the pandemic changed a lot about our community and how we function. What aspects of the community, or what aspects of the pandemic do you want to see continue? For example, online learning, no excuse absentee ballot requests, working from home options.
Okay, those are all great aspects of that question. Let's take work from home. I think that would be a big one for me. 13% of people living with disabilities are unemployed. And I think that work from home options are a beautiful thing. If you have the kind of job where you can work from home, I think that you should be given that opportunity. I think that's one of the silver linings that came out of the pandemic, was that it showed us how effective people can be working from home. So in my day job, I'm a journalist. I have my master's degree in journalism. And before working from home was popular, I built my entire journalism career as a work from home employee. I managed 2 global companies, one in politics and government, and one in investing and finance, both of which I managed global workforces working from home. So if I had to pick one, if you forced me to pick one, that would be the one I would keep, would be to say, it would benefit a lot of people, especially in the disabled community, to be able to have work from home options, because a lot of companies are struggling with employment issues. But if they are able to produce a workforce that can work from home, why not? Why not say to them, look, we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone when we have people who need employment and are effective and capable and beneficial to a company, but they simply need to work from home, whether you have the equipment that you need there or you have accessibility issues. There's no reason that should keep you from having gainful, beneficial employment. So if I had to pick one, that would be the one that I would pick.
Thank you so much. The next question in the lineup is, it says, I am concerned with political access in response to persons with disabilities who are in the LGBTQ community.
Okay, so
Not as much
specifically,
a question, more a statement about the concern of people with disabilities in the LGBTQ community. Kaya, I see you talking, but you're muted. If you'd like to add more, please unmute and you can elaborate if you wish.
please.
She's saying she can't unmute. Well,
Okay, let me hit it from both sides. How about that?
Wait, I got
Oh,
it.
there we go. Okay, thanks, Kaya.
So anyway, yeah, what the question or the statement, I should have phrased it as a question, but it regards one of the things in social media, which of course isn't a scientific sample, but one of the frequent questions I run across, both, in Albany in general, and also, here, is a lot of people, particularly with an access to medicine, okay, they find themselves like sort of searching for medical assistance. And I think this is perhaps it applies to the community as a whole, the LGBT community, but especially persons with disabilities who may feel that, it's already, maybe the cards are stacked against them a little. I just wondered, like, specifically, what, if anything, I know within the city of Albany, I know it's a larger issue for the county and the state, but in the city of Albany, what happens with, people who might be seeking redress or, at least further education, in the medical community, as well as with first responders, which go back to my first question. I don't know, if you have delved into that or not, but it has been a big issue. And, to go without medical care, assuming one has insurance, comes up a lot.
Okay, so
Thank
let me
you.
see. Yeah, let me see if I understand your question. First of all, the LGBTQ community, if there are challenges there, and there are specifically the disabled LGBTQ community, if you're talking in terms of, let's take it two ways, discrimination,
Yes,
okay, and accessibility.
yes.
So, okay, great. So let's talk about accessibility. First of all, accessibility is one of the letters in Operation Transform. And it's going to have two focuses. One is how you access your city. And I don't care who you are. If you're a resident here, how you access your city and how your city accesses you. And we can talk about that second part in a little bit if you'd like to, but how you access your city. If there is discrimination, first of all, that is covered under the law. And that is a problem. And I do uphold the law, and I do affirm the value, dignity, and worth of every human life, regardless of status of any kind. So I just want to make that very, very clear. When we get to a subset of the disabled community, people who are LGBTQ, and you're saying that they're struggling with city discrimination from city employees that are doing a city job specifically,
Not
that
necessarily, but within, within the city, within the purview of the city and the reach of the city, they may, like with private physicians or clinics or hospitals too.
Well, that's disappointing to hear, first of all. Second of all, one of the things that I would love to do with Operation Transform in accessibility is to make sure that if that happens, if you're experiencing discrimination of any kind and you're looking for redress, which you should, that the city can step in and help you with that, whether or not it's private, because discrimination in any form is unacceptable to me. Unacceptable. Doesn't matter who you are or who's doing the discriminating. It's off the table as far as I'm concerned. So let's say you've been discriminated by a private company or a city worker trying to get access to your medical medications, equipment, needs, et cetera. The thing that I have planned for the city of Albany is a specific department for communications where, and I'm brainstorming some ideas here, maybe a 5-digit text number or, but anyway, at the end of the day, a live human being, a department whose exclusive job it is to connect you with another human being and not just give you a phone number to call. They make the call for you. They follow up to make sure your needs were met. They take your feedback and say, okay, do we still have a problem? Let's keep going. They have access to resources at the county, at the state level. Maybe you need legal help now because a private company has their own set of rules. But I can tell you, so that's accessibility, but I can tell you that discrimination in any form, I don't care what it is, it's not acceptable. And the city will be here for you to not only access the city for help, but the city will continue that path of accessibility till we can get to the end of the problem. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does come up, and I think that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it does. But I think it is, especially with persons with disabilities who need ongoing, access to medical care, rehabilitation.
So that's actually even a more expanded conversation, which we can have if you want to
Sure.
as well.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
ongoing access is something that when we talk, and I'll just say it, and then we'll get to a question. I'll put a little plug in for now. I know we could do this all day.
I know.
Ongoing access in the city of Albany pertains to everything that is legally covered by the ADA, but also just standard human being, good neighbor concern in the city of Albany. My perspective on government in the city of Albany is not that government should rule over people, but that government should facilitate and scaffold people to have opportunities that they need to make sure that they're living and thriving in our city. And you're right, it is an ongoing thing. And one of the things C-Click Fix was mentioned before, it's kind of closed out without resolution. That is a problem. And so some of these problems are ongoing. And I think it's important with the city, as city leadership, we let them continue to be ongoing until they've reached a satisfactory conclusion or resolution.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
The last question, oh, never mind. We've got 2 questions in queue. The first one is, currently the ADA committee of the city is not meeting and may not even have a chair. What will you do to make the committee's work a priority and be resourced?
Yes, that is disappointing. So under Operation Transform, we have taxes and revenue. That's the T and the R in Operation Transform. The city actually does have a pretty flexible budget. I have spent time over the last year combing through the last several years of the city's budget. And not only have I found a number of financial gaps where budget lines are not itemized, and there are some broad sweeping ambiguous words like services that you can't itemize or find. There is money to be able to provide resources to things like the ADA committee. And like I said before, I have a number of disabled people in my life, and I'm out and about with them frequently. So I encounter these challenges all the time. The ADA committee has got to stay on top of things. And I hope that they'll operate as a check and balance to city government, because city government can only do so much with what they know. And so we've got to have people like the ADA committee in Albany to say, wait a minute, this is an issue and we're going to keep pushing, or we're going to bring it to your attention. The money is available to do a lot more. There's an incredible amount, it's staggering, of wasteful spending in the city of Albany, and also spending on things that provide no deliverables to the people and a lack of accountability of what's happening with that money. And so what would I do to ensure it? first of all, we're going to rearrange bits of the budget where there are large chunks of money that we simply can't account for or haven't been transparent with in the city of Albany. And we're going to ensure that there's livability for all people. And honestly, I'm very disappointed to hear about the ADA committee that the city leadership has not done anything with this, because here we are tripping over snow, slamming into stuff, walking in front of a cone. You can't get up into a building to have somebody said they wanted to be a foodie. You can't be a foodie with your partner who's in a wheelchair. That kind of stuff is ridiculous, and it's unacceptable in the capital city of New York State.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give everyone, there's no more questions at the moment, but I am going to read a comment. Going back to the prior question that Kaya was mentioning. It's from Shamika. It says, in the next few months, I will be working with partners to launch a website for people with disabilities who are LGBTQ+. We have a statewide group that meets via Zoom on the 4th Tuesday of every month. We currently have a working group for the Capital Region as well. So if you know people interested, they can reach out to me at sandrews@saneys.org. And this works well because I see Shamika has her hand up. So Shamika, feel free to unmute yourself and ask whatever questions it is that you may have.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment on, I mean, if people have a question about my comment about the LGBT thing, that's fine too. But I wanted to make a comment about the ADA committee. As a person that was actually is technically a member of the ADA committee, I'm very disappointed of what happened. I think the city had their own agenda for what that was supposed to do and supposed to look like. And they went forth with that agenda in not a very good way. Just to be honest, the last time we met, it was all around making parks accessible, but they had all of this work done on stuff in the parks, but the access to get to the parks was not considered, and the people on the committee were not consulted about that until I went to, we were supposed to tour the parks, and I pointed out that, the access to the parks was, a few of them that I saw was filled with mud. And I still, to this day, because my name is listed, attached to that committee, and for the people that know me, I'm kind of ashamed that was the result. And like, since that project was completed, nothing else has been done as far as I'm aware. But
Okay.
anyway.
So if I can speak to that for a second, I'm going to say just a couple of things. I'm going to sign it. How about that? So I'm mad. I'm sad. I'm sorry that Kathy was not here. Your city should have done better by you. I'm here. The last time we spoke on the last forum, one of the things that I did discuss, I don't know if you remember, but it's in my notes from the last time, was about parks. I very specifically mentioned that as a mother of 5 children, we use parks all the time. And as a resident with disabled friends, we access these parks. I see what you see. And one of the ideas I had mentioned back in that conversation, and we can revisit it another time, is my heart to see parks, especially for children, have things available that are handicap accessible, because I do believe it benefits all of us, especially children with physical challenges. And I'm sorry I used the word handicap. I know that's like a grandmother word, and I apologize for that. One of the major issues in parks, I think that you hit the nail on the head, Shamika, when you said that the city had their own agenda. My agenda from the first day of my campaign and the reason why I'm running is people over politics. I've called myself the people's mayor many times, and I continue to do that because I'm the only candidate that's using the word transform rather than the word change. Because change is something different to everyone. But when you transform something, you have an entirely new creation. And that's important to me because people over politics, sadly, is an entirely new way of thinking in the city of Albany. So when the election is over and I'm mayor, I would love to continue the conversation because my heart is there. And that's one of the major things that I see a lot of waste in City Hall, and it's been discussed, the city staffing. One of the major issues to me is working with people whose heart is in the work, who are doing something beyond a paycheck, a large paycheck, by the way, whose heart pushes them forward and compels them to do better by the city of Albany because they love people. They love to help people. It's important to me. And I do want to mention, this came up, snow removal. Let me just say a little quick word on snow removal. The city has 24 hours, according to the city code, to remove snow after the snow has stopped falling. That's actually the current language. And then at the very end of that statute, it says, as soon as possible. You and I and many of us here have shoveled out our neighbors. I certainly have. I have a church. We're on our snow removal team at our church. And there's handicap ramps and everything has to be salted and iced. And we're on the snow removal team at my church. And so what we have noticed, what you have noticed as well, about the city not doing its job. And again, I'm not blaming DGS. I'm not blaming the people. We have over 700 streets in the city of Albany. So when there's a massive amount of snow, it is a massive job. I personally don't agree with the language that 24 hours after cessation of snowfall should it be removed. I shovel at my house and I know sometimes I have to shovel twice in a snowfall in a day. I think the city of Albany can do better. And we know from the last snow emergency we had, it is possible to get some trucks and pick it up and take it away. But again, it's people over politics. And that's really what I bring to the table with Operation Transform. And you can go find it. It's online on my website on transformalbany.com. A lot of those ideas are up there. I've gone to great lengths to put them there. So just to say, universal modifications for people with disabilities benefit everybody. And focusing on people is the win in Albany.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I hope that I heard everything that you said, but my computer was frozen on my end. So I had a moment of panic. Donna Jean, I'm going to make you a co-host. Just if for some reason my internet disconnects, we'll still be rolling. And thank you for everything that you just said. Does anyone else have questions? Oh gosh, hold on.
I'm not frozen on my end. I don't know if anyone else is.
Okay.
No, we're good. We're good here. There is
Okay.
somebody else. Zach just, did you see that, Helen? Zach's question in the chat?
I don't. I can hear everyone. Everything's frozen. So Zach, if you
I don't see a question from Zach on my end.
I can read it because I can see it unless
Please.
Zach wants to just talk.
Please do.
Hi, I'm here.
Thanks,
Okay.
Zach.
Hi, Alicia. Thank you for being here this
Hi.
morning. So my question for you is, as you know, we're going to get a new mayoral administration and we have a new governor. So where do you see opportunities to work with the next mayor and the new governor on disability related issues?
So are you saying in the event I'm not elected mayor?
I'm talking about the mayor of New York City and the new
Gotcha.
governor,
Okay.
Kathy Hochul. Where do you,
Yes.
if you win, where do you see opportunities to work with the two of them on disability-related issues?
So I've met our new governor, Kathy Hochul, and have not spoken with her at length on this specific issue. However, again, I'm gonna say it again because it matters to me that modifications that benefit people with disabilities benefit us all. Now, the mayor elected into New York City will also be brand new, and I'm sure that this. I mean, look at New York City. How many people in New York City live in a third floor walk-up? These are issues. I have a dear friend who struggled with MS, and she lived on a third floor walk-up in Soho. And it was impossible for her to get out of the house. Her quality of life went way down. And that was one person in the city of 1 million people. So working together, I think, as with Albany as the capital city of the state of New York, and then New York City as the most influential second state. I personally think Albany is more influential because we're the seat of power here in New York. I think it's paramount to address people that is New York City is an old city. It's got decrepit buildings. They do have some laws in place and statutes that prevent or excuse a lack of modifications. That's a ship that's going to take time to turn around. But I think that the mayoral, both mayoral candidates right now, there's the Republican Curtis Sliwa, and then there's Eric, who's sort of the presumptive mayoral win. But who knows? They're both people that have expressed in the past, if you've tracked their campaigns, which I have, a heart for people who are struggling in the city. And I think it's important to get together and bring ADA committees and real people whose heart is already in the work to the table. And I can tell you right now, Kathy Hochul will be on board with something like that. And I really think any governor would if they had a perspective of people over politics. And because that's my perspective as mayor, that's going to be driving everything I do. And the mayor of New York City is on the top of the hit parade of people to work with because we are deeply connected to New York City. So how would I work with them? First of all, I've already reached out to them. Second of all, in terms of specifically the disability community, it'll just be on the top of the hit parade because it's near and dear to my heart.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think now would be a good time if you had any closing remarks, Alicia, and then just thank you for your time and thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. So I want to say one thing. You saw me use a little bit of sign language today. I'm not proficient in ASL, but I do have some family members who are deaf. And so that's where it came from. I do know enough to get by. And an idea that I had, and I'm not excluding any other form of disability, but I do want to say, I had an idea for the city of Albany, and I'm going to patent it right now, so no one can take it, to set up a series of QR codes throughout the city so that when somebody who is deaf or hearing challenged approaches whatever that might be, a building, a museum, let's say it's a museum, let's say it's a shopping area, they can use their phone's QR code and it will bring up a video of a sign language interpreter who can tell them certain things that they might need to know. Maybe we put them throughout the city where there is a sign language interpreter available for people who need communication and might have questions about a specific place or a point in time where they want to enter or participate in, and they're unable to ask those questions. Maybe they don't have somebody with them. And we have somebody in place who's specific to the city of Albany that can communicate that language to people who need information about any given thing you could name to me. We can have a series of videos and QR codes throughout the city of Albany. So Operation Transform is the plan. It's taxes, revenue, accessibility, neighborhoods, safety and policing, facilities, opportunities, resources, and management. We can transform these, but the first transformative act we must do is elect Alicia Purdy for mayor. Transformalbany.com. There you go. My heart is for the city of Albany. People over politics all day long.
Thank you so much,
you.
Alicia. Thank you for being here. And also thank you to Greg Adela, who was our first candidate speaker. Remember that the general election will be held on November 2. You can vote early from October 23 to October 31. And if you're not already registered to vote, you have until October 8th to do so. If you'd like to register to vote, you can give me a call or the County Board of Elections office. I will be at the Troy Farmers Market this weekend, hosting a voter registration drive. So if anyone frequents there, you can also get registered then. If you have any questions at all, you can call me at 518-860-8158. That is my direct work cell. Or you can email me at helen.helmuth, HELLMUTH @drny.org. And again, I just think it's important to note, because of the rules, the voting rules in New York State, it's important to remember that although you can only vote in the primary election for the party that you are registered in, for the November general election, you are able to vote for any candidate on the ballot. It does not matter what party you are enrolled in or what party the candidate is enrolled in. So thank you all again for joining us. And
I also want to note that absentee ballot applications,
yeah,
I believe, need to be in by October 18th. If
yep,
you're unable to get to the polls, make sure that you've got that in by October 18th.
that is correct. And any voter up until January of 2022, any voter, regardless of if they have a disability or if they're going to be out of the county, they can vote using an absentee ballot. So if you would just prefer to get your ballot mailed to you, you can do it that way. And Alicia is correct. It is October 18th is the deadline. Thank you all again for joining us. And I hope to
Thank you.
continue this conversation. Enjoy the rest of your day.